Hi everyone, Ray from Pro String with another racket restringing tutorial. Today's tutorial will be on a tennis racket, of course, as you can see. Head Boom MP600. So that's the Head Boom MP600. As you can see, I've already cut the strings. Start from the top because we have 6 holes in the neck of the racket, and that's the only way to really start. Down, around, and your first loop. I measured one side of the racket as so, 7 and 7. Leave yourself a little bit extra to reach the head, and then just measure the strings, run the strings through your hands and fingers, as that. And then that should give you an accurate measurement. Today's tension for this racket with the Hyper G, Sonico Hyper G string is 50.6, which is equivalent of 23 kilos. 1 kilo is 2.2 kilos. 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds lbs of tension. And as you can see, I have started. So always stringing symmetrically, evening out the tension, compensating the tension to each side. Never stringing more than 3. I guess you could potentially go less than 3. String 1 to each side, 2 to each side. Not something that's common, but I guess possible. Our third main to each side, and now we do another 3, and then obviously once we get to 6, because there's only 8 to each side, 16 mains in total, we then we finish off with 2 and 2 to each side, and then of course tie your finishing knot, etc. I actually like the turquoise, I guess you could say. I like the paint job in this. It's a shame they don't have, okay, you got the head with turquoise coloring. I would have liked to see this racket with more of this color. I really like that color, personally. I've actually got grips, as you can see. That's my own brand grip through Pro String, which actually would match the racket really well. Gonna check my camera very quickly in a moment. Yesterday I did a whole video and it decided to stop after 46 seconds, and I don't know why. I've had this iPhone for a week now and I don't know if I'm activating something with, I don't want to say the S word, because then it might activate SIRI. All good. All right, 6 to each side, guys. 7. Skip 1 at the top, so 6, skip 1, 7, same thing at the bottom, and then we skip again. 7, skip 1, 8, top and bottom exactly the same. So this racket has the same pattern to the bottom half, and when I say pattern, I mean your kind of the holes you are skipping. And our Parnell knot as usual. Find this Hyper G significantly stiff, a bit stiff for copolyester. Not a bad string. Don't think I've actually tried it in my own playing racket. And we up our tension again on our last main. Remember, you don't want the clamp touching the grommets, the racket, anything. It shouldn't be touching anything. little small gap, even if it's the smallest of gaps, fine, get away with that as well. Just take into account that the clamp does move a little bit when you finish your tying knot. So if I release the base, you'll see how this will move slightly that way. Well, on that one it barely moved, which is great news because that means I took all the lag out of the knot. Okie dokie. Now for our crosses, another cloudy day in London, unfortunately. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. So we got slightly bombarded yesterday by rackets. There's about 15 rackets at least that I can kind of think of on the top of my head. And it does say here where we should start our cross. Small little grey circle around the grommet that you should tie your knot on. Well, not the grommet in itself, but it is the seventh main string, which is our anchor string, opposite side to where it says head in turquoise. This side as a reference in case you need that and it helps you. Yeah, this racket, oh, actually you're good, you can start either side. It's just that it's got a bit of dirt from playing in wet conditions. You can start either side, guys. Apologies. And I'm skipping a cross string. I mean, this is a very high cross string. Uncommon to be so high up, but fine. Let me double check. I'm guessing it's 1619. It is indeed 1619. Most 100 square inches are. I'm going to cut myself a bit of a sharper edge here. It's from the factory cut, let's say, which is just normally flat, probably from the machines. And again, as always, stringing one ahead, guys. And when you're clamping, you don't want to get too close where it's touching any of the grommets or the frame, but difficult to touch the frame, but I guess you could find a way if you really wanted to. But not too far away either. You'll see the distance I keep the clamp away from the grommets and frame. Just a few centimeters away. 2-3 centimeters, probably a safe distance. This string does, I believe, have some shape to it. If I'm not mistaken, it definitely feels like it needs a high performance copolyester. It's a string designed to play with chemical formula in combination with a high powered polyester monofilament fiber. I could swear it's a shaped monofilament. Newly developed gauge. That was actually 120. It doesn't really say, but I feel like it does. I'm almost certain the Hyper-G has some shape to it. Penta or octagonal or hectagonal. Does feel a bit sharp on the hand. Hope I'm not mistaken, but it should say it somewhere on the string, but I'm almost sure. This is a 120 millimeter thickness. The fin of the string, regardless the type of string as well, will give you more spin power and feel. Does break quicker, of course, take that into account always when you're choosing a string. If you play intermediate kind of level, you want to go for a multi-filament or synthetic gut. If you really want to splash out, natural gut. Natural gut, remember guys, cannot get wet, shouldn't get wet. Just had a client come over a little while ago, brought a racket over and was not complaining. He was like, oh, it's fraying a lot. I forgot I couldn't use it in the water in wet conditions. Even if the court is kind of dry and the balls get wet a little bit, that's it. Same thing, same damage done. You may get away with it. It's just it does affect playability. It doesn't play as nicely anymore. It loses tension as well. So take those factors into account, I would definitely say. stringing one in front, guys, as always, makes the next weave, like this one, for example, that I'm about to do, much easier. As to just weaving one string and pulling it, your weave is always going to be harder. Always supporting your string. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm always supporting my string that's being pulled in that actual moment whilst it's being pulled or tightened. As you'll now notice, in case you haven't, I'm going to put my hand here and just slightly support it. Don't let it go down. You want to keep it as much in line as possible with the grommets, not letting it go down, because then what happened is that when you finish your racket, you need to straighten up all the strings, and that causes tension loss. Believe it or not, it does indeed. Also, guys, I'm just stringing at my own pace. I'm not trying to impress anybody out there. This is kind of my normal working mode. I can go faster, I can go slower. Under, over. When the racket starts to curve, on its curves, keep an eye, because there's one or more string that you need to go over and under, which will affect your weave when it comes to the same string, let's say. So here you can see, for example, there's no string to worry about, but then as you start encountering the mains, you may want to just keep an eye that you are going over or under first to be the opposite to the next string down, if that makes sense. So as you can see here, I was dealing with one main, now I'm not dealing with that one, now I have to deal with this one. But just keep an eye on that. It's always opposite, guys, and a good way to check your work is your last weave, the last part of the weave, and the first under, next should be over. This weave is over, that should be under, under should be over, and so on, yeah? Okay, well, coming up to a wrap here, so you can see the weave takes more. Okay, that is the last weave, which is normally more difficult because the tension is now set throughout the whole racket. But generally speaking, it is harder just to do one weave at a time and then pull the string. That's why we do one in front. It tells us to tie it over here, which we're gonna do. Again, a little gray circle up around the grommet area, just here. And we're gonna go through the first loop and then through our knot. Again, guys, as always, parallel knot. Pretty straightforward racket to string, guys. Shouldn't really have any issues. I now just realized what's happened here. Okay, fine. I like it to sit flush. Anyway, let's see if I can undo this knot. I'm not going to try it very hard. Okay, yeah, it is. Oh, it is coming undone. Anyway, guys, you get the gist of it, but I'll just show you what I'm doing actually. My bad for not checking. But you can see here how it doesn't sit flush, and you want that to be flush. So I'm going to take apart my knot. I don't recommend trying this at home. Just don't do what I just did. Check your work first before tying the knot. It's because it's covering, it has a few other holes that it's covering as well. Alright, this is, at least it's not going to be too difficult. But there you go. If you ever have to undo a knot for whatever the reason, there you go. That's how you do it. And so we need to either go over or under. Okay, you know what? Let's pull the string again. I want to see if I can get under this cross string. Probably the easiest option. So if you're not too fussed about aesthetics, let's say, then don't worry about this. But it is definitely a good detail. There we go. I think I've got it. Yep. Under. Up the tension. I would just normally, whatever. And under. Oh, okay. Different story now. I'll be able to sleep tonight now. A little bit fussy when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's a good habit, guys, to have. Letting the string sit flush against the frame, or inside the grommet, should I say. Just so you guys can see, it is now sitting completely flush. And it will do even more so once I release this clamp. It's gone in a little bit more. Alright, well, if you want to see it one more time, now that this tension's been set, let's say, on the grommet, that looks much better. For a good example how it can and should look, I guess, in my opinion. But there you guys have it. Take your racket off your machine, which should just slide off nice and easy. If the racket's not coming off easily, then you are tightening your you're mounting the racket far too tight on the machine. Advisable that it should just be nice and easy. Shouldn't be any tension applied to the knobs, really, when you're putting the racket on. Just a tiny bit, if anything. A lot of people, for some reason, are under the impression that you have to really apply lots of pressure on the knobs and make sure that the racket's secure. That's not the case, guys. Okay, guys, there you have it. The Head Boom MP600 with Solinco Hyper G at 23 kilos of tension. Guys, that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for watching as always, and hopefully you've learned some valuable stuff. Again, where you're watching from and all that kind of stuff, if you want to leave us a little comment, much appreciated. And that's it. Take care, guys. Happy stringing. Bye-bye.